So I think Greg Abbott knew something was coming because this was 12 hours ago, because he was urged to fully militarize Texas State Guard to counter Biden. So he's totally in the right. So I had said when this whole thing, when I started doing videos, what I saw that was going to, that as time went on and just everything that I saw during COVID and have seen throughout my nursing career, but just in general, is this idea that we just do what we're told. Okay? So because Amy, the Supreme Court, their decision means, okay, well, we have to follow the Constitution. No, what is more important than anything is doing the right thing, even if it means breaking the law. I'm not suggesting breaking the law, but if you know something's wrong and you stand by we're all guilty of doing it, but you have to be courageous enough to say, no, the experts are wrong. The law is wrong. You shouldn't do something that's against what your conscience tells you. Anytime you're doing something that's against what your conscience tells you, you're betraying yourself. If he went along with what the Supreme Court wanted, because as far as I'm concerned, Amy Coney Barrett was really the deciding vote there. And she, if she has a conscience, she betrayed her own. This is a safety issue. A safety issue. Very simple. Now, a ton of people want to say, well, the feds can come and rip up the wire and then they put it back down. Do you know how much they're dealing with over there? They don't have time to keep doing that. They don't. And besides, Texas has been dealing with this bullshit for 3 years of Biden not doing the right thing. And moreover, Abbott called an invasion. So technically, regardless of what the Supreme Court says, his calling it an invasion overrules the federal government altogether. It does. That's why Trump was saying, early on, during the first year and a half of, the borders being invaded, he kept saying, declare an invasion, because then he can take matters into his own hands. So he has a right to do this. All the Supreme Court did was show that they don't know how to do the right thing during a safety crisis. It was an unsafe decision, no matter what sometimes you need to put all your law away and just, what's the right thing to do here? It's that simple. And people have such problems with that. And I mean, I know when you're young, that's kind of hard. It's like, well, I have to do what my boss says. And yeah, I get that. But when it comes, I'm talking about those issues where don't betray your own conscience. Because that's when you sell yourself. You start selling yourself off. He's doing the right thing, so is Texas. The Supreme Court was wrong. Biden has been wrong. He's been treasonous this whole time. It is his job to protect that border, and he's done the opposite. But we do not have people that will do the right thing. And so what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen down there? I hate to see anybody get hurt, but I certainly don't want to see any National Guard, any trucker, all of the people that are standing with Texas. No, they are standing on the right side of this. The feds, though, some of them are young, right? I'm sure whoever Biden sends there, and many will have this attitude, nope, I have to do what the commander-in-chief says. No, sometimes you just do what is right. Does it seem right to attack any American that is just trying to protect the border from invaders? Common sense should tell anybody that's not corrupted that, no, that's the right thing to do. So for those of you that do believe in the Bible, God even said that there's times you do his law before anything else. Not that he doesn't support the law. Well, some of it he doesn't support, but he make your own laws and everything, but don't bypass his law. Don't do anything that betrays what his law is. And if Texas had followed the Supreme Court, if Texas had not stood their ground here, they would be betraying themselves, their country, their state. They would be betraying God, because God would not want to see bunch of MS-13 killers and many other kind of terrorists coming across this border that are already threatening us right as they crossed the border, that guy the couple days ago. No, there's a time when you stand, no matter what the law says, no matter what the Constitution says, and you know those times because it should be very obvious. Do you know a mother who testified on Capitol Hill this week about her 20-year-old daughter was murdered? She was living in, it sounded like this big trailer that an illegal immigrant was renting out rooms in it. And so she had lived there, but this person that was renting out, or I'm sorry, it wasn't an illegal immigrant that owned it or rented out the rooms, but she had rented out one of the rooms to this 17-year-old MS-13 killer. MS-13, I learned about them when I first got into psych. They're by far the most dangerous gang. I don't think any of them have a conscience, and this kid didn't. Okay, 17 years old. And so her boyfriend often, I think he stayed with her. So she worked night shift, got off work, went to her room to lay down and locked the door and all that. And he just broke down the door and then took her iPod charger, put it around her neck and strangled her. And here's the worst part is, as he was banging through the door, she was calling her boyfriend and it went to voicemail. And so her mother, for 2 minutes, when the boyfriend let her hear what the voicemail was, all she heard for 2.5 minutes was her daughter struggling and trying to fight him off, and he ended up strangling her to death. After she died, he raped her. And then what happened? They were pretty sure it was him, but ICE did not want to take him into custody, at least until the DNA evidence came back. They didn't even want to hold him. So see, those are people, and I get that it's what are you supposed to do? I can't take somebody. We'll figure something out then. Just because we're at that point where it's like I've said before. It's like I think people there'll be these things that come up. We all get judged on those moments. They're those moral moments when you need to put away the experts. You need to put away your excuses. And what's the right thing to do? He's doing the right thing. No matter what anybody says on TV, no matter what the Supreme Court says, no matter what I don't care what Riley says, I don't care what any of them say. When sometimes you put aside that stuff because you have to, because it's in the best interest of safety. When it comes to safety, you should do the right thing. So it's hard sometimes to do the right thing, and well, it shouldn't be, but especially when everything, whether it's best practices or it's the Supreme Court in this case or whatever, is telling you that no, this is what you're supposed to do. We all know right from wrong. And everybody that isn't corrupt knows that Texas has a right to do what they're doing. They have a special history. Texas was the least willing, Texas, out of all the states, was the most hesitant and did not want to join into a union with the United States because they were afraid the federal government would pull shit like this. Now, for a long time, so they were the most hesitant because remember, Texas used to be part of Mexico. So they really, so they have a special relationship. So this is all exactly what I would expect Texas to do, but any border state. You don't just follow the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court clearly cannot make the right decisions in regards to safety. Amy Coney Barrett, no matter what bullshit excuses she wants to use or everybody else wants to say, well, it was just on hold. They don't have time to put on hold. So her thought should have been, what's the safest thing to do? But being higher educated, it's my experience is they don't often put safety first.